Welcome to session 2 of Probate Fast Track. In this training, we're going to talk about your strategy and how to plan your work to get started with your first probate campaign. If there's any one gift I could give all of our subscribers, it would be confidence. That's what really unlocked this for me. And what I find to be kind of the formula for confidence is having a really strong why, getting really clear on why it is you want to help this group of people and work in this niche, paired with a great strategy defining what it is you're going to do, and executing on that, and then having the knowledge. So just differentiating yourself from any competition you might have, and really just educating yourself to a point that you exceed the expectations of anyone you work with. And when you have these three things together, you can't be anything but a confident salesperson. I put a Zig Ziglar quote here that I love: "Timid salesmen have skinny kids." I find that in probate or any other part of the real estate business, if you have a strong why for what you're doing, a sound strategy, and great knowledge, um, you will excel in any niche, probate or anything else. So let's start with the knowledge. I want to talk about what probate is. I've learned over time that a lot of folks who get excited about the opportunity in probate don't necessarily understand the process. So this is kind of a light version of my Probate 101 training, which you'll find below this video in the downloads for this training. So probate is a formal legal process that recognizes a will and appoints the personal representative to administer the estate, to distribute assets to beneficiaries, and make sure that all liabilities are paid. In short, it's really the government overseeing a process to make sure that they are getting their cut of the taxes and that all debts and liabilities are paid off. So a lot of people mistakenly think it's just about assets. It's as much about liabilities as it is, the assets that are distributed in the end. And who's involved in that process? This is just kind of a pie chart, and it's not 100% accurate, but the personal representative is going to have the lion's share of responsibility. So the person who's appointed, they meet with the probate clerk, they meet with the probate attorney, they have the responsibility of, property inventories, making sure everything's paid off, that the distributions are made, getting a list of heirs. There's a number of responsibilities on their shoulders, and that's why most of them are overwhelmed and can use all the help they can get. The next most involved in the process will be the probate attorney. They're going to help the personal representative with those responsibilities, but the reason that they have such a small piece of the pie here is they're not actually involved in, going to the house, going through the file cabinet, getting the personal, having the estate sale and all that. So they do have a lot of important involvement in the process, but it's not near the amount of work that the personal representative is tasked with. And the other two kind of parties here are the probate clerk, who is who the personal representative meets with when they initially file the probate. They don't have a whole lot of involvement beyond the initial filing of the case. And then obviously the other heirs. And this piece of pie could sometimes be larger, sometimes be smaller, depending on the relationship dynamic of the family. But typically the heirs aren't going to be a whole lot of help and aren't going to have a whole lot of decision-making power. It's usually on the shoulders of the personal representative. So I just like this visual. It kind of helps you understand who's involved and why the personal rep might be so overwhelmed. So let's just walk through kind of the timeline of the probate process. So to initiate this, someone obviously passes away. Now, if somebody dies without a will, that's known as dying testate. In that case, the family will read the will will name an executor, and that person will go file probate with the local probate court. If a person dies without a will, that's known as dying intestate. In that case, the court will appoint an administrator, or in some cases it's called a fiduciary in some states, to do the same thing as the personal representative, to represent the estate. The court may be involved and attorneys may be required for each step of the probate process. That's going to depend on your locality. It's common practice in almost every state and county to use attorneys, but it's one of those things you want to make sure you understand your local process. Some states do require a fidelity bond to protect the estate from abuse. Um, it's usually waived in the will. This is, you know, pretty common in California. They do require it. It's more common than not to see that waived in the will. Um, and when they meet with the probate clerk, they will need to gather a death certificate, the will, the list of assets, liabilities, list of heirs, and other documents. This isn't an inclusive list, but just kind of an idea of what people are asked to get together. Um, and then the liabilities, administration costs, taxes, all those costs and liabilities must be collected before anything is distributed by the executor. And this is all done under the guidance of the attorney in the probate court. Um, so that's kind of the timeline. Because this is a fast track training, I'm going to give you a few resources to kind of expand on your probate knowledge. As I said below, you can download the Probate 101 slide deck that's below this video. That will really help you kind of get a grasp on the probate process as well as the opportunity that exists for professionals who kind of hold themselves to a higher standard to help these families. The other thing you can do is Google probate court your county. And some of us are lucky and have great county websites where they publish all the information you could possibly want to know about the local process. Others are going to find that you might just have one page and not get a whole lot from it. But try that. The next thing you can do is go to alltheleads.com, and we have a great probate glossary. So when you go to our site, in the top menu you see FAQs, probate information, and FAQ. And this is a very, very comprehensive collection of general probate data. You're not going to find anything state specific here. However, it will really help you kind of lay down a really strong foundation of probate knowledge that you can build on using these other resources. And then lastly, probably the most thorough education you can give yourself is actually going to the courthouse and speaking with the probate clerk about, walking you through what an executor would actually go through or a personal representative would go through, and kind of learn firsthand exactly how the process works. I'm going to touch briefly before we jump into strategy too deeply on who we market to. So as we said, the personal representative is the most important in the process and usually the easiest to contact. So we use a combination of direct mail and phone calls. And kind of as a minimum effective campaign, what we've found is send 3 letters. We typically space those 30 days apart, so we have a 90-day campaign. And then we follow each of those letters with a phone call. Some people will make the calls before the letters, some people will make them after. This isn't set in stone. I'm just going to talk about best practices in generality, and we encourage you to kind of customize your campaign. The next person you're going to market to is the probate attorney. As I said, the personal rep is easier to reach. The probate attorneys have gatekeepers and they protect their time closely, so it's not as easy to market to the attorneys, but these are great long-term opportunities to build a referral relationship with an attorney and really impress him or her. And again, you can also use direct mail and phone for that. What we've found to be most effective with attorney marketing is actually office visits. The folks across the country that have done best with building attorney referral networks have done that face-to-face. We have a document that you're also going to be able to download below the video called the Probate Success Roadmap. And this is something that we unpack at length in Probate Mastery, our highest level of training. It's really going that far is outside the scope of the fast track training, so I've included a copy for you to go through on your own. So I want to just jump over there real quick, and I'm not going to go through everything. This is a list of questions that I asked myself when I was starting this. And on day one, I didn't have this filled out as thoroughly as it is right now. So don't feel like you have to accomplish everything on this sheet in one day. And then really, don't feel like you have to accomplish everything. If some of this seems too granular, or you simply aren't set up in your office to be able to handle, everything that's on this sheet, then forget about it. This is given to you in Microsoft Word, so you can customize this and make it your own roadmap. And that's kind of the point of this training, is to get you to think about these questions. Why are we doing this? Who's our target client? What problem do they have? And how can we be the solution to that? So, as I said, I'm not going to go through this because it's outside of the scope of this training, but it is there for you to go through on your own. I encourage you to do that sooner than later, just so you're really clear on what it is you're going to be doing. So as far as the training checklist, which as a reminder will pop up as soon as this video finishes, you'll have some objectives to check off below before you move on to step 3. But what we want here is that I want you to understand how probate works from kind of a 30,000 foot level. I also want you to see the opportunity as a real estate professional in probate and how you can really make a difference. Understanding who you market to is really important. Understanding how you're going to market to them is also important. And then having a written marketing strategy and a plan, which is using the Probate Success Roadmap. That will also help you determine who is on your probate team, which is a very, very important part of this. And it also will help guide you through knowing who is responsible for what, making sure that you actually do carry out the strategy that you've laid down. And if you're interested in taking a deeper dive with us on this, you can always sign up for Probate Mastery. To find out what the Mastery course covers, when the next upcoming class is, you can always go to, in the subscriber portal, in this menu you can click on Probate Mastery, and you'll see you can sign up for any of these classes using the blue button, and there's actually a course outline, so you can see here in session 2 is all on strategy, which we've talked about here. So that is it for step 2 of Fast Track. Again, guys, below you can download the things we talked about and be sure to check off your progress and move on to step 3.